Well, I figured as long as I was playing around with brake parts this morning, I don't think I've test fit this particular Wilwood caliper before, and it's the key to making the 311 brake kit, the new one that it's prototyping. Anyway, and I will not be producing it, but so this is the backside of the rotor would have to, or the hub would have to get machined to clear it there. But even still, we're touching the rotor down, touching the top hat down in there. And let me go around to the other side to get a better view. But it doesn't fit inboard enough for the pads to not hang over. And yes, there's an argument to be made that the pads can hang over. It just creates a lip. I'm not a fan of that, so I wouldn't do it. But if somebody else wanted to, because the pads, the whole thing would have to get moved out about another 1/8 of an inch. And if that was the case, then it wouldn't touch on the inside. We might have enough clearance. It's hard to do all this, but in order to get an 1/8 inch of clearance there, the pads would have to be, that far off the rotor. So maybe a different, actually the V6 rotor, I wonder if I have one around. The V6 rotor might just push that outboard enough. The thing is, what I was trying to figure out here was whether or not this Wilwood caliper could be used giving a 4-piston setup that would fit behind the factory stock rim. And the thing is this, I've showed this before, this part right here is why there's so much trouble, and right here as well. Whoops, stay in the picture. And this right here. So on this particular version, with the Wilwood, it's hitting here, and it did a little scrub there. With a lot of the other options I've tried and stuff like that, it's always hit here. Now, with the Wilwood caliper, some meat could get taken off of here. The holes would space over a little bit. Might be able to push that over a little more because I'm using the wide spacing. I think it would also, it might be outboard enough to not have to cut that ear off. Okay, whether or not there's enough meat on the bracket to still be usable, I'm not exactly sure. And since I can't get the kind of clearance I want up here, I am not going to pursue it to find out. But somebody else could do that if they wanted. Anyway, this will also have to be a little bit thinner. I think the caliper wanted to line up right about there, so about an 1/8 of an inch off that too. So this is basically just FYI for myself to satisfy the itch of whether or not or the question rather, whether or not the Wilwood caliper would work. The thing is by the time you do those modifications and cannot run stock rims with it, well, then, run the V6 rotor and use the dual piston Nissan caliper and you'll be in the ballpark. They're easy to find and they're cheap, so there's no real reason, no push, motivation, or anything like that to run the Wilwood caliper. Maybe some other Wilwood calipers, a little bit bigger. I don't know. This caliper is going to work really well for the 311s. But anyway, I think I'm pretty much just rambling, so